Hey guys, we are going to be talking about why soft tissue is the glue to the program. And I want to kind of impress upon people that it's more than just this feel-good factor. And it is, obviously, for people who've not done soft tissue work, as soon as you start to get that massage gun, the therapy balls into those niggly, kind of nasty spots, of course, we feel fantastic. And it does become quite an addiction. But that's just one key point of it. Yes, it helps with recovery. Of course, it helps with feeling good. 100% we say to the players, let's that last hour before bed, let's get 10 minutes in because it downgrades the nervous system, prepares you for sleep, relaxation. So there's this fantastic, let's call it box of tricks that it will do, and it will be something that will reward you if you stay consistent with it. And to the players that we work with, I say the same thing, is that none of us get excited about cleaning our teeth twice a day, but we do it. And most of us, hopefully, have done it every single day for the entirety of our lives. So if you can look at that for an amount of um, consistency and discipline that you just can't beat, if you can get 10 minutes soft tissue work done daily, which is actually something you look forward to, your body will just reward you for it for much further down the line. Now, the areas that I want to talk about is about it's about the fascial system. So, how to describe it? You know when a snake sheds its outer skin and that like see-through kind of exterior is gone. Imagine our fascial system is similar to that on the outside. It's the exterior, but it's also an unbelievable part of our ecosystem that some top minds are understanding that it probably does an awful lot more than people first recognize. So, fascia is a connective tissue, and I want you to highlight the word network that surrounds and supports muscles, bones, and the organs. It consists primarily of collagen, and it's organized in a web-like structure. So that word there, web-like and network, these are two things we're going to focus on really quickly here. So the fascial system plays a role in movement posture and in tissue health. So now let's just focus here on that phrase, network and a web-like structure. Sometimes you've got to just stop. We're all racing around a million miles an hour, going to our jobs, literally, our lives consume us and we only see what's 2 foot in front of our face. We live and die by the day and everything is just chaos. But we live on a round ball that's spinning, first thing. We have an incredible piece of software that runs everything. And that software is making decisions in milliseconds every single day to make sure that life carries on. So, running, jumping, you stumbled on a curb, every decision you're making with your hands, it's happening in an automatic way. But we still have to get information from the control center to the arms and to the limbs. As soon as you are running to retrieve a ball in the field, every single step, and the only thing in contact with the ground are the soles of our feet. That's the first thing to remember. So, it has to be an information highway traveling all the way from the ground, all the way through our body to the brains to make instantaneous decisions. And a lot of smart minds believe that that's what the fascial system is key for. So, all these networks, all three of the networks that we'll talk about a little bit further on, they all communicate through the body. Information highway, fascial system. So we have got a whole bucket of it feels great, soft tissue work, nervous system downgrade, recovery, breaks down adhesions, blood flow, etc., etc., etc. Fantastic. Let's call that maintenance of the fascial system as opposed to a massage. Okay, because the reality is that the more in touch we are with our bodies physically, the freer we are to be able to move, the freer we are to be able to move athletically. And our issues come from a simple fact that, you know, our fascial system is governed by the environment we spend most of our time. Our brain is very complex, but runs on a very simple set of rules based around, uh, human beings, survival, time on this planet, just everything that keeps the organism focused and moving forward. So when you think about um, if I'm going to sit for 6, 8 hours a day, my brain will probably think that I deem that as important for survival. So therefore, we're going to adapt to that position. If I went and lay in a corner of my office for 6, 8 hours a day and huddled up, over time my brain would think, well, I've got to make the best of this situation to survive. Now, the fascial system will remodel to where you spend your time. And unfortunately, for a lot of people, that does constitute sitting a fair amount. The younger generation, unfortunately, guys, are staring at their handheld device with rounded postural shoulders, forward head position. So all these tissues are now they're now adapting to that environment, and none of these positions that we're in today are conducive to athletic performance. And when I say athletic performance, in this context, we're talking about bowling a delivery where we have to move through three planes of motion, where rotation is at the heart of what we do. And we will always have a scenario where there are better biomechanical positions that we'd love to get into. I'll talk to you about the pelvis and hip extension and the ability to use the glute not only in a powerful movement like running, but also a powerful movement like the delivery stride, back foot to front foot contact. Well, if our pelvis is rotated too far forward, we are in a position where those tissues are very short and tight in the front. This is why I'm a big fan of the couch stretch to open up those tissues. It means we're not going to be able to utilize our glutes in a biomechanical way. I hate the phrase glute activation, and I go to the gym and I see people doing monster walks and with a little band around their ankles, and I'm like, well, if pelvis is rotated forward, he's not going to be able to use the glutes because the brain won't want to. So, without sort of going into the absolute sort of depths of why this fascial system, I'm going to bring it back to the soft tissue sessions that we do. And by not only helping us with recovery, but by stepping over here and using our soft tissue sessions to be able to remodel that fascial system, to be able to break it down if we've had a day traveling or a day sat at a desk, and focusing on those areas that allow us to have better position and better posture is going to be extremely important. So we've got these two kind of things with the fascial system. Now, the one I'm going to relate to you here is something called the spiral line. Now, for any of you who are interested in delving a little bit deeper into fascia, the fascial system, you've got Thomas Myers, Anatomy Trains. He's kind of the godfather of this from a leading research point of view. Um, and one of the areas here is that the fascial system has different spiral lines, and they're all named in different ways. Now, this what we call transverse plane line, that's just a spiral line that connects the body to opposing sides, is something that I see in cricket being a big problem. Now, let me explain. Is one of the precursors to stress reaction, a potential back problem that we have seen over the many years is an irritation in the throwing and bowling shoulder. Now, it could just be a basic kind of muscular nerve related, but for me, it's a little bit of a warning sign that something isn't happy at the shoulder and we need to investigate a little bit more. Now, these fascial lines in this situation, they connect opposing hips effectively. They run diagonally across the body. So if you think about rotational sports athletes, not just bowling, you think about batting and striking and throwing, we are going to be using an opposing side of the body connected diagonally to the other. This kind of highway of connective tissue is crucial not only from a point of view of performance, but also from an injury perception. Now, what we've started to see is whenever there is an issue, let's say this is slightly different looking at, but let's say it's the right shoulder that there's an issue. Whenever I go and have a look and investigate further at the left opposing hip pelvis, I start to see a reduction in rotation there. Now, that reduction in rotation, if I talk to you a little bit about force and the bowling action, is that for a right-handed bowler, when the right foot hits the ground and it begins internally rotating, front foot contact, the opposite's happening. we're externally rotating through the head of the femur. So it's opposing. This is an important part because if this is my right pocket and this is my left, I'm running into bowl, I land in that position and I pivot, 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 pivot so that the right pocket really is facing the batter at release. That way, my spine can stay in the middle of my two hip sockets or my pelvis and I can fold forward as opposed to laterally flex. Now, a lot of players or a lot of coaches will go, okay, I can see why there'd be a stress reaction or a stress fracture because of lateral flexion. The next question is how do you fix the lateral flexion? Now, like I said, is I would then automatically, if I see a right shoulder flare up, I go and check the opposing hip, and often we miss rotation there. So imagine if that front foot contact, imagine that hip can't rotate. It's got nowhere to go. All that force driving through the front leg. The brain knows the force has to go somewhere, so I need to now compensate. And unfortunately, what happens, the compensation happens here at L4 and L5, and that part of the spine will flex and extend, hates rotation and side bend. So that's what we're seeing. We see rotation through L4 and 5, side bend, vertebrae getting closer together, and this is where the stress reaction comes from. Having an understanding of how to not only check and stay on top of that is a huge part. However, knowing how to train that is a big part. That's why so much of what we do is based on training rotational patterns, diagonal patterns, cross sling, cross the center line. A lot of what we do is, whereas conventional training, you'll see a lot of bilateral loading, shoulder press, goblet squat, deadlift, chins, all of these things. So the fascial system, not only have we got this unbelievable system that we've talked about, that we believe sends information highway network, everything, and much, much more. Next 50 years, a lot more research will come out that I believe will verify this because information has got to travel somewhere. It has to have some kind of connection from brain to muscle. This is why, guys, can you see? This we get this every single week is I want to brace my front leg on delivery stride. If I just strengthen my quad or my VMO, that's how I'm going to do it. So people still have this perception if I isolate a muscle, get it stronger, then my brain is going to use it in a movement stroke biomechanical way, which is kind of ludicrous, isn't it, when you think about it? Everything is connected through this incredible system. And the issue that we see with so many players is when their entire musculoskeletal system is not working well enough, maybe you're not stable, maybe you lost some range of motion, maybe there's an imbalance left and right, just means the brain will still hit the 12 off stump. It'll just compensate. And it's the compensation that causes the inefficiencies and the higher risk of injury. So just for us in this section here, it's just such an important part of the process. Now, this brings us on to how. How do we remodel it? And one point I want to get across here is its consistency and soft tissue work compounds. So don't do 20 minutes on a Monday, nothing on a Tuesday, nothing on a Wednesday, 5 minutes Thursday, 20 minutes Friday, and then think, oh, I can catch up on a Saturday. Just do 5 minutes, 7 days per week, ideally 10. But it compounds, it layers on top because we're breaking down the tissue. We are we're undoing a lot of damage that's been done or a lot of positional damage that gets done throughout the day. So it is something that if we go back to that very first thing I said about we don't enjoy cleaning our teeth twice a day, but we do it. This is the cleaning your teeth, but all of the benefits around not just what most of you will perceive it's for, which is I feel great after, is you now hopefully will understand is that if we can't break down or we can't influence the fascial system and the musculoskeletal system, you can forget about getting into some of these biomechanical positions that you'd like to be able to bowl the ball. Like how many times are we're seeing restrictions in what we would call the anterior chain, which is all the skin in the front. So restrictions in the quad, the hip flexor's tight, the front of the core's a bit tight, all the pec is, if you push in there, why is my pec and my trap so tight? Well, we're pulled forward. The point being is that if you're pulled in that forward position, you're never going to be able to express extension. And throughout different phases of the bowling action, we need everything. We need the ability to flex, we need the ability to extend at the hips, we need the ability to rotate at the hips, the rib cage. We need to be able to, obviously, we need to be able to, as we get into front foot contact, we have extension and rotation because we're trying to keep the right shoulder back, which is hip shoulder separation. We're then going to go into rotation and flexion through the rib cage, which allows us to fold more towards the batter and stay out of lateral flexion. So, like, we have to influence position, like whichever way you want to look at this, and whether you play international cricket or club cricket, we've all got to start to understand that it's about undoing a lot of what's going on physically. Tissues, we've been exposed to too much strength work in cricket. We're still exposed to too much strength work in cricket. Strength plays a part like it does in everything, but it's one part of the pyramid. And soft tissue work is something that if somebody looks at this and says, well, Christ, can I do more than 10 minutes a day? Yeah, do 15 if you want. Like build it into your life. It's such an important part. And these are the obvious tools. Massage gun, therapy balls. There are, we had a conversation with one of our members last night. Like you can buy a massage gun for 29.99 on Amazon. And you can also buy a massage gun through Therabody, which is a £500 massage gun. Guess what the difference is, guys? It's literally, I've tried most of them, and every single time I invest heavily in the best massage gun because it gets the job done far, far more effectively and even quicker. So I would say it's really worth investing in a decent massage gun. Now, Juicy always likes to explain, as we've got one of these plates in our training facility is if you think about a little bit around the fascial system and about almost relating it to that protein shake that you have that's like stayed in the car for too many days. It's starting to stink. It's not great. It's congealed, isn't it? It's all junky. And then you might try and actually empty it, but nothing comes out of it. So you put some water in there and you just shake the hell out of it. You shake it, you're still not going to drink it because it's disgusting, but you can still pour it out. That is sometimes a little bit like the fascial system. Let's say, you've had a few weeks, you haven't done much training, maybe you've been ill, maybe you've been lying on the sofa or whatever. Vibration technology is a fantastic way to shake the entire system up. Um, we have something called the lymphatic system, lymphatic drainage within the body. You have your obviously you have the amount of blood in the body, you have the amount of lymph. There's a lot more lymph in the body than there is blood. The blood has two pumps to move the blood around. Lymph doesn't. It sits and pulls in areas of the body where it's trying to drain it out. That's why movement is the only way to actually shift and move lymph through the system, or some sort of massage, some sort of vibration plate technology that just gets the system working. So just I say finalizing this is the soft tissue is not this feels nice thing. It is everything. It's the like I say, it's the glue to the changes that you want to make, and that's technically and physically. It is also the gateway to provide the body with something that it doesn't get anywhere else, which is fantastic for your recovery needs. And really, guys, it's something that, a lot of you will finish the program with us over, the next 6 months, and we may never work together again. But if you do take one thing out of this, maintain your soft tissue work. It is going to be vital for long term.